What's up, guys? Anthony Monetti. We're back. Today's exercise of the day is going to be squats, or the squat. So it's still transition week, so we're going to be doing a bunch of squat practice. We call it practice. What that means for you is you're going to be doing a bunch of reps with the squat, probably lighter weights because we're looking to practice, right? So let me get to it. Mobility. We need to make sure our hips are mobile. So we're going to do something called the world's greatest stretch. So let's start. Fold over at your waist. Walk yourself out to a high plank position here. Go into a nice pike position or down dog as the yogis call it. Really press your hands into the floor. Think about rotating your shoulders outwards so the front part of your elbows are facing away from you, towards your head. So you're thinking about that shoulder moving this way, really pressing into the floor, trying to get your chest toward your thighs. Drop your heels, get that hamstring stretch first. High plank. Start with your left leg, bring it all the way up towards your hand. You can drop that back knee down. If you like, if you need to, kind of start slowly, but if you can get that back leg off the ground, try to bring that back leg off the ground. Squeeze your back glute, and then we're going to just take nice hip circles in this position. Press the floor away, lift that chest up. I take my hand, same side as the knee that's up, and press away, trying to get that rotation in my shoulder a little bit and actually go closer to the hip here. Really just try to press the muscle away from the bone a little bit just to cause a little bit of space in that hip. Then we're going to take that same elbow, rotate your torso down to the ground, exhale up and around. We're going to do this 3 times while trying to keep that back leg long and strong. That simply means straight. Once you get 3, take that hand, put it on the opposite side of that foot. Shift your weight to the back leg, bend that back leg. Now the front leg is straight. You're just doing little swivels with that hip, trying to dig around the corners of that hip. Figure out where you need it. Front leg should be as straight as possible. If you need to bend it because you're tight back there, it's totally fine. That back leg could be bent. You can adjust the pressure of that front leg, adjust the stretch level. When you're ready, if you're ready, bring those toes up off the ground. Say hello to your calves and hamstrings. Back leg is still bent. Think about lifting your rib cage up. Then you can do a couple swivels here, opening up that hip. Dig around to the corners of the hip. And then bring that back leg up. Stay here for a second. Give yourself a nice big hug. Stretch out that lower back. And then hands go back. Reverse. Right? So you're here. Hands go down. Reverse that lunge. Drop that back knee. Now that front leg is doing, the right leg should be front now. And if you can, bring that back leg up off the ground. Squeeze the glute. Drive the hip into the floor or into the ground, towards the ground. And then lifting the chest up, rib cage up with your front hands, pressing your hands into the floor. And then opposite, so you're taking that, for me it's my right hand, I'm really trying to press that hip away, create some space, dig around. Don't be so linear with this. Our bodies are meant to be multifunctional, multi-directional. Take that right hand, drop it down, and then exhale up and around. Get that thoracic spine, upper back moving. Keep the back leg long and strong. After number 3, shift the weight to the back. Front leg is now extended, long and strong. Back leg is bent. All that tension is happening right here in the hamstrings. Good stretch. Make sure you're breathing. Bend that back knee, straighten the front leg. Swivel the hip, dig around. Try to find the corners that need stretching. All here. Press the hips away. And then when and if you're ready, bring those toes up off the ground. Say good morning to your hamstrings. Keep the air flowing. Keep breathing. yourself all the way back up. It's called the world's greatest stretch for a reason. Warm up, 3 exercises, all geared to activate the glutes and core. Here's how it's going down. First up is a 1-leg RDL, Romanian deadlift. You know what a Romanian deadlift is, right? It's a hip hinge, folding over at the waist. It's flat back, right? Making sure your posture is nice and strong, keeping the shoulder blades back, rotated back. Great exercise for your hamstrings, for your lower back, for your core, for your lats, for your shoulders. One of my top 3 full body exercises. But 1 leg at a time we're going to do today. It is transition week. We're going to work on some skills, work on some balance. So a couple different ways you can do this. Okay? Whatever your non-dominant side is. For me, it's my left. So all that weight is shifting to my left leg. Right leg is up, balanced position, get as high as you can. And we're going to do the same thing that we would do for the regular Romanian deadlift, right? We're going to hinge over, right? We're going to keep that back flat, working on balance, keeping that neutral spine, and then we're going to hinge back up. Okay, a couple different ways you can work through this. A couple different ways you can challenge yourself depending on what you need and what you want to do today. It's transition week. The goal is to work on some skills and slow it down a little bit. So, hinge over, you can do you can do 1 leg at a time, trying to keep that opposite leg up the whole entire time. So right now, even just standing here, doing a couple reps, my left glute, the working glute, is fired up, I feel it, starting to burn, right? So you can do your 10 reps here, or you can do alternating. So you can do 1 at a time. Hinge back, stand back up. Once you establish balance, then drop it, bring the opposite one up, and then proceed into the next rep. Balance, drop, here, alternate, balance, drop, alternate, okay? If you can do that, solid. You want to grab some weights. 2 is probably going to be easier, I'm assuming, because it's balanced. It's equal amount of weight in both sides. Same thing, keep the flat back, drive, think about pressing that foot into the ground. Same thing, you can do 1 at a time or you can alternate, your call. Choose your own adventure. Here, hinge back, good strong posture, and then driving back up. Okay, that's 2 dumbbells or offset. I'm going to suggest doing opposite. Okay, so whatever leg is on the ground, hold that dumbbell in your opposite hand. It's going to give you a good counterbalance. Come right back up to balance. Okay, 1 side at a time, or shift and do alternate. Your call. As long as you keep the hip, as long as you use the hip as a hinge, as your initial movement, as long as you keep the back flat, either one work on some skills. That's 10 each. Next up is going to be clamshell, working the outer glutes here. A lot of times, these muscles on the side here, it's part of your glutes, but they fall asleep, right? Because we're walking in one-dimensional, we're sitting down at a desk, one-dimensional. Chances are the side of the glute doesn't get a lot of action, so those muscles fall asleep, but those muscles are there for a reason. They're there to keep your hips strong and keep your hips stable. So if they fall asleep and the other muscles get super tight, you can only imagine that could trigger down and trickle down, I should say, into a series of potentially injuries or if not pain, and just not as functional movement patterns as we're designed to actually be in. Okay, so clamshell is going to work that outer glute. You're going to take a fetal position here, knees together, and you're simply just opening up that clamshell, right? You could use a band if you had a band. You could loop it around to your ankles or mid-shin just to give some resistance to that outer glute, okay? These we're doing 20 each. Do 1 side at a time and really try to press outward. Press the limits. Try to get to that top range. Make sure you feel it in your glutes with all this stuff. You guys know my philosophy, right? If you're not feeling it, work on trying to feel the muscles that are actually doing the work. Be intentional. You're doing 20 each there. Last up, the big part of your glute, glute max. call it max for a reason. It's the big chunk of your glute, okay? Here. And all these exercises are primed up. All these exercises are staggered to make sure that you get warmed up for the squat practice that you're gonna do. So, a simple glute bridge, lying flat on your back. Try to tuck that butt underneath and lose that space. You have a natural curve in your lower back. The goal is to bring that belly button down, flatten the lower back, control, stabilize your abs. So you're bracing down, call it bracing. You're trying to squeeze, tighten up here. Now you can bridge all the way up, okay? So rinse, repeat. Tuck the butt underneath, brace down on the abs, and then press your feet into the floor. Make sure you feel it back here in the glutes. Press the floor away. Feel the feet below, or feel the ground below your feet. Make sure you feel it in your glutes. Okay, we're doing 30 reps. Or, if you want to do something a little bit extra, because we like to be extra, turn that butt underneath, tuck the pelvis underneath so that lower back gets flat. That's the first stop. Always doing that. Now, bridge up. Now, if you want, press your hands into the floor, stabilize your shoulders, and then bring one knee to your chest as a march. And then back down, alternate. Press the floor away. This leg is doing the work. Press into the floor as you bring that opposite knee up. So this bringing up the knee is going to be easy for you. Very natural, right? What may happen is you may not feel it in your glutes. So I'm going to suggest whatever foot is on the ground, really pressing that in. Make sure you feel it in that glute. And then focus on driving that knee up. Okay? One each side, back down, rinse, repeat, tuck the butt underneath, flatten the lower back, bridge up. 1, 2, back down, rinse and repeat. Either 15 each or 30 if you're doing both at the same time. Okay? That's your warm-up. 3 rounds should take you anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes, maybe 8, 9 minutes. It's okay. Use it as a warm-up. Get your body prepared. We're doing a lot of squats for our work period. What's up, guys? We're back. Work period. Here we go. Squats. V squat is your practice exercise today. You're doing 40 reps 3 times, but choose your own adventure this week. You can figure out where you're putting those squats. Just make sure you get 40 at a time. You don't have to do 40 consecutively, but 40 as a chunk. Okay? If that doesn't make any sense, watch the previous video and I explain how the concept works this week. But you have 3 groups of 2 supersets. Okay? So you can intertwine your squats into each one, however you need to do it, but get 40 squats in each section. So your first couplet or your first superset is going to be 3 rounds of Grasshopper flow. Great exercise for mobility. Also full body core. Starting in a high plank position here. Bring one foot up. Think about pressing, taking one hand off the ground, pressing that bottom hand into the ground, lifting your hips up, and then pulling through to the front. Think about that bottom hand really pressing into the floor. Make sure that shoulder's active, lat is active, building stability, upper chest, upper back is engaged. You're pulling back here, and then back to a high plank position. Obviously, you got to do the other side. So bring the foot up, press into this hand, stabilize it. Make sure you're activating the lat. Press in, pull that hip through to the front. Boom. Now this arm is coming back. Nice proud chest. You don't want to be dumping all that weight into your shoulder bone here. Activate the muscles around it. That's why they're there. Okay? Pull through. Boom, boom, boom. Work through it. If this is uncomfortable for you, it's really challenging your mobility, I suggest hanging out here for a second and working through it. Be a little uncomfortable with it. That's how you build strength. Okay? Grasshopper flow, 8 each. Next up, Russian twist. Working the obliques. You can use weight or not use weight. The obliques are very small little movement to work them. Okay? So Russian twist, knees slightly bent, heels on the ground, toes up. Try to keep your hips stable. Lean back slightly. Here we get 45-degree angle. Try to keep your rib cage up. And you're literally just doing tick, tock movement. Think about 10 and 2, okay? You don't want to sag down like this. You want to try to keep a strong posture and just literally rotating like this. Heels down will keep your hips stable. If you're feeling froggy, next level, progression. You can bring your heels up and try this. But literally try to make them micro movements. Okay, you're doing 25 at a time. So you're gonna take your time is what I'm trying to say. Take your time and work on the smallest little movement. Okay, you're doing 25 reps each. If you're at the level where you can keep your hips stable and you can use some weight, just keep it close to your chest and do the same exact thing. Trust me though guys, you don't need weights for everything. You can make the smallest little movement go a long way just by doing quality reps. Okay, that's your first superset, doing 3 rounds there. Next up, your 4-round cluster. First is going to be a pike hold, or if you're at the level, do a headstand hold, or if you just want to hold a plank. Either way, you're holding a position for 30 to 40 seconds, working on your shoulders and your core. Really full body if you're doing it correctly. But a pike position is here, taking a high plank position, and then shooting your hips back. Trying to press your hands into the shoulder. We actually started with this. First thing we did, press your hands into the floor, tuck your chin down, try to keep that back flat, and just pull your hips back toward your heel, so to speak. So you're pulling from here, trying to keep that rib cage up, press your hands into the floor, and you're holding here. Simple stuff. 30 to 40 seconds, right? You can wiggle around, you can shake or drop the heels. Same time, you can really try to rotate your shoulders and get more familiar with how your shoulders could be moving based upon mobility or the lack of mobility. 30 to 40 seconds will be your first exercise. If you're feeling froggy and if you're ready for it, drop down. One of my favorite things to do as a kid, tripod, will be the start of a handstand. Okay, here, elbows bent, drop the forehead to the ground, create a nice little shelf with your elbow here. Once you're here, establishing balance, make sure you're positioned, stable, hands under the elbows, and if you're ready for it, you can walk your feet up, and then simply bring your knees toward your elbows and rest them onto your elbows. Okay, you're hanging out here, trying to balance the pressure, not all of your forehead. You're actually using a lot of your hands, holding, make sure you're breathing. If you're ready, kick one leg up, then the other leg up, and you're holding here now. Breathing, but only if you're ready. I suggest really being careful with that, especially if you've never done it before. It's just an option for you guys, something we work on all the time with our yoga, with our stretch and strengthening classes, and then we also incorporate that into our strength and conditioning. But make sure you're prepared. If you're doing it at home, please be safe. Check your surroundings. Make sure you have a wall maybe you can kick your feet onto, or simply just do a regular plank. This is a great exercise that's often done wrong as well. Squeeze your glutes, keep that trunk nice and tight. You can still make this a challenging exercise, just a regular plank if it's done correctly. No need to be fancy with all this stuff, okay? 30 to 40 seconds with that. And your next superset, that's your first half of your superset. This is your next part of that little cluster. Butterfly sit-ups, feet together, knees out. Hands back, arms back, big exhale. On the way up, reach. Try to get that torso up towards your feet. One vertebrae at a time on the way down, roll down. Big exhale on the way up. And then one vertebrae at a time. If you have a weight that you want to use, or a medicine ball, which we use in here often, here, big exhale, act like you're going to throw it. That's why you should use a lighter weight. And right back, one vertebrae at a time, on the way back down, okay? You're doing 12 butterfly sit-ups. In those two exercises, your pike plank or handstand with the butterfly sit-up will complete your section number 2, your 4-round kind of couplet, okay? But choose your own adventure. You can decide to do it any which way. These are just some exercises that we put together that makes sense for the squat practice, okay? Your third or fifth or 5 round superset couplet. Exercise number 1 is going to be a Cossack lunge, which is more of a stretch here, taking a nice wide, exaggerated lateral stance, okay? Feet out nice and wide. Shifting your hip back like you would do a regular squat. Foot stays flat on the ground, hips are back. Opposite toe, or opposite hip I should say, rotating outward. You're going to feel a nice stretch in your inner thigh, hamstring, here. Okay, keep the hips low, pull yourself to the other side, drop down, and rotate the opposite up. Okay, keep your hips low. The key component with this is keeping the hips low and also rotating that hip outward. Okay, chest upright, nice strong posture, and you're just literally shifting your weight side to side, getting that good stretch. If you wanted to, hold weight. Just gonna challenge yourself a little bit more, okay? You're holding the kettlebell or dumbbell, whatever you got. Same thing, get in position, here, shift your weight, here. Okay, that's with weight, don't have to have it, but that's an option for you guys. You're doing 10 each. Last exercise as far as the couplet goes is a Roman sit-up. 1 dumbbell, 2 dumbbells, whatever you got. Hold them directly above your head, legs are straight this time. You're gonna try to keep those dumbbells or dumbbell directly above your head as you sit up and as you come down. Okay, so keep an eye on the dumbbells. They're above your head. Make sure you have an eye on the dumbbells. You know where they are at all times. Safety first. Big exhale on the way up. Once you get to the top, pull those arms through. And on the way down, keep an eye on them. That's 2. You have 1, totally fine. Grab it by the handles here, the knuckles. Still keeping it above your head. Get all the way to the top. Pull your shoulders back. And then 1 vertebrae at a time on the way down. What's going to want to happen is these dumbbells are going to want to travel forward. So it's natural for that dumbbell to come down this way, which is fine in the beginning. That may be how you get through it. But ideally, if you keep that directly above your head, that's going to be the most tension on your core. Okay, get those abs worked. You're doing 12 of those. That's going to be your last or your 5th. The couplet that you're doing 5 rounds of. Okay? Now for your squats, any squat works. What we're looking for is feet flat on the floor, good strong posture, and you're keeping your knees above the ankles. Okay? I take a little bit of a wider stance, totally fine. Think about rotating your feet or your hips outward a little bit, activating the glutes that we've just been activating, make sure they're turned on, and then you're simply dropping down into the squat. Okay, at the top, get full range of motion, squeeze the glute at the top. Want to hold weight to a goblet squat, totally fine. Keep it close to your body, core is nice and tight. Okay, you can do a goblet squat, you can do a dumbbell front squat. Here, simple stuff, same rules apply. Okay, remember how we did the bridge, we brace down? One thing I want you to pay attention to is making sure this is tight with your squats. If this is tight, core is nice and tight here, your abs, simultaneously your lower back contracts. All the erector muscles back here, and they support your spine. So when your abs are tight, your lower back gets tight, and it supports your spine. Okay? If your shoulders start to round, it's a lot of pressure on your lower back. So try to keep a good strong posture. Work on the squat, go lighter, and if you can, start challenging yourself in different ways with the squat. Okay? If you wanted to, you can actually do an overhead squat with some PVCs. Trying to keep the chest up. Trying to keep that PVC directly above your shoulder. We talk all the time about stacking everything. So that if you have a joint that's stacked, picture my wrist and my elbow. That's a good stack position. If that's here and I put weight up here, it's not going to be good, right? So you want everything to be stacked and solid, strong throughout the movement. We're not trying to do the Leaning Tower of Pisa. We're trying to do a nice, strong structure, right? So if you think about the overhead squat, that barbell or dumbbell or PVC in this situation is going to try to be stable above my shoulders, which is going to be above my hips, which is going to be above my ankles. Okay? Really ideal to keep that good, strong posture, heels flat. This may be practice all in itself for you. Okay? Using a light weight and just working on the form. That's what this week's all about. I brought that band out to show you that if you don't have a PVC, you can use a band if you have a band. Okay? Pull the band apart. The band is going to be more forgiving. It's more for your shoulder to kind of move around, whereas the PVC or even a barbell, you're locking yourself into that position. So if you have an asymmetry or if you're a little bit uneven, it's going to be more challenging for you and potentially, risking more injury. But a band gives you a lot of freedom, plus it's light, and you can still work on trying to keep that chest up, get into a nice deep squat as low as you can without letting your heels come up, and then proceeding to do your reps this way. Okay? All of them work. Choose your squat, work on some practice, and believe in yourself, trust the process, practice patience. Let's go.